He is coming. Cover your butt.
So, Flat Earth Asshole got his panties in a twist over a video that Inverse made about the Flat Earth. Inverse is pretty much just taking the piss out of Flat Earth, and it's just pulling the craziest shit it can find that Flat Earthers believe, and compiled it all together for us. But Flat Earth Asshole has a really hard time dealing with it, and just wait till the end. His reaction is priceless.
It is 2017, and the Flat Earth movement is indeed making a comeback. That part is true. However, almost everything else in this video was entirely false, and, for lack of a better term, it was bullshit.
Nothing Inverse says is really incorrect. The problem is that Inverse pulled the craziest shit they could find, and they are sharing it with the rest of the world so we can all laugh together at some of the crazy shit that Flat Earthers believe. Flat Earth Asshole thinks that Flat Earthers are being misrepresented, made to look like they believe some crazy shit. I mean, after all, a Flat Earther wouldn't believe anything that crazy. I mean, what do you think they are, Flat Earthers or something? Of course, the real problem is that Flat Earth doesn't have a real model, so there's no way to really know which crazy idea Flat Earthers hold to be true and which they don't. There are just as many Flat Earth models as there are Flat Earthers. There is no consensus on anything on the Flat Earth.
So let's start off with gravity. This part they got right. Flat Earthers know for a fact gravity does not exist. If I were to simultaneously drop a microphone and a helium balloon at the same time, the microphone would fall to the earth because it is more dense than the air in which surrounds it, and the helium balloon rises because it is more buoyant than the air that which surrounds it.
How exactly do you know that gravity isn't real? And I mean that in all seriousness. Please tell us, because we are at a loss as to why you think that gravity isn't real. But let's ignore that for a second. Let's pretend that you are right. Let's pretend that the only reason that things fall is because they are more dense than the air around them. And let's pretend that the only reason that things float in the air is because they are less dense or equally dense than the air around them. We are going to, for the time being, pretend that all of this is true.
This guy floating around inside of an airplane with balls around his face is no proof of gravity. Anyone can jump inside of a zero-G airplane doing parabolic maneuvers and float around and simulate the feeling of weightlessness.
But how? We just accepted that the only reason that things float in the air is because they are less dense in the air, which means that in this scenario, the people are less dense than the air around them. You have told me that that is the reason things float. How? How does parabolic maneuvers make a person less dense? Or, I guess, how does it make the air more dense? One or the other. If the only thing that is controlling the way that we fall is density and buoyancy, then that means that the only way to make us float is to change the density or buoyancy of the air or object. So how? Please explain to me how zero-G planes work. How do they change the density of a human body?
And now we will get to this absolutely bogus claim that flat earthers believe that the earth is rising upward. I've never met, seen, smelled, or heard of any flat earther who thinks that the earth is moving up, sideways, down, or diagonally. In fact, every single flat earther I've ever spoken to or ever heard speak will all unanimously agree that the earth is not only flat, but it is not moving in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it's even in the Bible that the earth is set upon its foundation so that it cannot be moved.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I didn't know it was in the Bible. I mean, it's got to be true then, right? And there's no way that it can be false. So, fuck it. I guess we're done. In all seriousness, though, that's really a lame excuse for why the Earth is immovable. You actually have to give evidence for that, and the Bible can't be one of them. No, I'm sorry. Fairy tales do not equate evidence. But you seem to think that the Earth moving upwards at 9 meters per second square seems to be this absolutely insane idea that no one would believe. But remember, you're a flat earther. You are the very definition of believing insane ideas. And this idea is really no more crazy than the idea that the Earth is an infinite plane, or that there's other worlds past the ice wall, or whatever other crazy shit you're gonna say next. They are all equally crazy, and they are all equally lacking in evidence. And no, the Bible doesn't count as evidence.
It is indeed crazy to think that the flat Earth could somehow be going around the sun, because we are most definitely fixed upon our foundation and not moving, while the sun and moon move over us. How the sun and moon move exactly, that is undetermined. If we were to say the sun and moon are a binary system, that would be a claim that nobody has proven yet, as the moon appears to be its own form of light, different than the sun, as you can see blue sky through the moon, whereas the sun has been seen to set and rise. The moon can just show up out of nowhere right before your very eyes.
All right there, Dr. Seuss, it's very nice that you can rhyme, but let's not make a habit out of it. In the same way that you claim that saying that the moon and the sun are a binary system would be an unfounded claim, saying that the moon is its own light is also an unfounded claim. And it's not just that it's unfounded, but to say that the moon is its own light source has absolutely no explanatory power. If the moon is its own light source, then you have absolutely no explanation for the different phases of the moon throughout the month. You would have to come up with a system in which this light in the sky somehow changes the way it projects its light in a manner that is predicted by a model where the moon is orbiting around the Earth and reflecting the sun's light. The problems with a self-illuminating moon don't stop there. For example, if the moon is self-illuminating, there should be absolutely no reason why we can't see a full moon at noon. But we don't see a full moon at noon. The only time that we're able to see a full moon during the day is during sunset. As the sun is setting and the moon is rising, we get to see a full moon during the day. Other than that, we never get to see a full moon during the day, and this perfectly corresponds with the heliocentric model. It is amazing to me that you think that your self-illuminating moon somehow has programmed the same kind of behavior as if it were in a heliocentric model. Considering how one of these models has less assumptions than the other, I am going to go with the model that can actually predict the motion of celestial bodies, and not the one that has to have ad hoc explanation as to why it behaves the way it does.
Now, as far as the other planets being spherical, most flat earthers agree this has never been proven. We can see a round dot of light in the sky. However, you cannot prove it to be a ball if you can't see the other side.
Of course we have images of planets from all their sides. We have time lapses of Jupiter rotating from Earth, and we have images of other planets from satellites in space. But of course, all of these are fake because they go against your preconceived notions. And, NASA lies or whatever. So, let's ignore those. Let's pretend that we have none of these images and that none of this is true, and just look at our closest celestial friend, the moon. If one were to look at the center of the moon, one might potentially, if they're dumb enough, believe that the moon is a flat object. As one starts to look around the moon, there are some features that lets us know that the moon isn't flat. Let's start with the craters. The craters in the center of the moon are very circular. However, as we start to move towards the edge of the moon, you'll notice that the craters lose their circular shape, to the point where at the edge of the moon, the craters are just ovals. This feature here starts to suggest that the moon might not be so flat. The same is true of shadows. Shadows at the center of the moon are non-existent, which makes sense if the sun is hitting the moon directly, like it is in this picture of the full moon. However, as we start to go to the edges, once again we start to see shadows on the craters. And as we go further and further towards the edge of the moon, we start to see that these shadows start to become very deep. All of this comes together to tell us that the moon is not a flat object. We do not have to see the whole moon to understand this. Granted, we have seen the whole moon through images, but those are all fake. So this is something that you could do with a telescope or with a good camera.
And here we go with the tired old edge argument. There are no flat earthers that believe you can fall off of any sort of edge. Many flat earthers do, however, believe that the oceans are surrounded by ice. If the oceans are surrounded by ice, hypothetically, then there wouldn't be an edge to fall off of, would there? As again, no flat earthers believe that the Earth is floating in space. In fact, many flat earthers believe the Earth could go on infinitely, and there could be other lands or other worlds that they are hiding from us.
You talk about the idea of the Earth having an edge as this absolutely insane idea that no one would believe. And then you nonchalantly go on to think that the Earth is an infinite ice plains with other worlds on it. I'm sorry to break it to you, but both of these ideas are equally insane. You don't get to say that one is crazier than the other. Both of them are crazy, and both of them have just as much evidence behind them.
And if there hypothetically was an ice wall, you definitely wouldn't need to have armed guards on the wall. And they definitely wouldn't be provided by NASA. You see, they can spy on you through your phone and telecommunication devices to know exactly what you're doing, so that if you ever even dreamed of going exploring somewhere where you are not allowed, they will know when, where, and why, and how you are coming.
So prove this. Prove that the government would stop you. Prove that there are guards stopping you from going and exploring Antarctica. Make a big deal out of it. Make it a big Facebook event where you get you and all your flat earthers together. Make it so big that it can't just be deleted by Mark Zuckerberg. Make it so big that you going missing is a big deal. And then go out there, go to Antarctica with your cameras and any equipment that you want and explore the shit out of it. And then tell us that you were stopped. Actually try to do this. Of course, you're not going to do this because that would mean that you'd have to put your money where your mouth is. You would actually have to go out and try to prove that you are right instead of sitting around in your fucking basement making YouTube videos.
Now, the reason why the government says the Earth is round. Alright, now this is the part of the video that pisses me off the most, and is the reason why I'm making this rebuttal.
Make some noise if you think the Earth is flat! Yeah! Make some noise if you think NASA's full of shit! Yeah!
Oh my goodness. Are you supposed to be intimidating? Is that what you're going for? Is somewhere in your head you're like, I'm gonna put on this goofy ass hat and we're gonna turn on a red light and that's gonna make me intimidating? Like, that thought went through your head.
There are no members of the Flat Earth Society because the Flat Earth Society is a government-controlled operation.
Care to back that claim up with anything? Yep, didn't think so.
So you stop making up bullshit, because I will expose you. I am the one and only Flat Earth asshole, and I will relentlessly defend the Flat Earth until the end.
calm the fuck down, man. You're being a bit of a religious zealot. I won't even sit here and tell you that I will defend the globe Earth till the bitter end. Like, Jesus, fuck, man. Calm down. This isn't a war. This isn't a battle. This is fucking you being ridiculous. If nothing else, your overreaction just points out something that is very wrong with flat earth thinking, and it's your religious zealotry. Your whole identity is being a flat earther. Without flat earth, you are frankly nobody. That's what you are, a flat earther. And that has driven you to this point where you're willing to be almost physically violent to defend it. You are defending your identity. You're not defending an idea. You're defending who you have become, which is just a flat earther. Which is why you get upset when Inverse doesn't take you seriously. Which is why you get upset when people mock the flat earth. In your head, they are mocking you, not the idea of a flat earth. It's because you are a flat earther. That is the only thing that identifies you as a person. This speaks volumes to the flat earth movement. If you identify with something to this level, then how are you at all being skeptical or scientific or rational? And so no matter what I ever show you, no matter how many images of planets or space or the moon or water curving or math that I ever show you, I'm never going to convince a zealot like you, because your whole identity revolves around being a flat earther. And frankly, that's a little sad.
Moon tiara.